Hello guys, once again welcome back to the channel of Forensic Sciences, lecture number part 3, uh, Violence and Forensic Application. What is violence? In forensic sciences, violence refers to any physical harm or injury inflicted to a person, often involving a crime. So, forensic violence refers to any physical harm or injury that inflicted to a person. Forensic professional analyze and interpret violent events to investigate causes of death, injury, or criminal behavior. Now comes to types of violences. There are many types of violences that can be homicide, assault, sexual violence, domestic violence, and robbery. Let's discuss it one by one. First one is homicide. Homicide is the unlawful killing of one person by another, which can be intentional, that is called murder, or unintentional, that is called manslaughter. Second one is assault. Assault, the threat or actual infliction of body harm on someone, including aggravated assault. Third one is sexual violence. Sexual violence is a rape or sexual assault involving physical force or coercion. Fourth one is domestic violence. Domestic violence is a kind of violence within a family or intimate relationship which could be physical, emotional, or psychological. Now come to discuss about robbery. Robbery is involving the use of force or threat of violence to steal property or money. So we have discussed about types of violence, that is called homicide, unlawful killing of one person by another, that can be intentional or unintentional, assault, a threat or actual infliction to a body to someone, including aggravated assault. Now comes to sexual violence. Sexual violence can be rape or sexual assault involving physical force. Domestic violence is within a family. A kind of violence is robbery involving the use of force or a threat of violence to steal property or money. Now we're discussing about the forensic analysis in violent crimes. So, how we can analyze the evidence and get out the results in forensic sciences? For that, we have to discuss it about many steps. First one is autopsies. Autopsy is uh, Autopsy is a procedure that is conducted by forensic pathologist to determine the cause and the manner of that. It can be a gunshot wound, blunt forces, and trauma. Second one is ballistic analysis. Ballistic analysis, in which the forensic expert analyze weapons, bullets, and casing to determine the type of firearms used and the trajectory of the bullets. Third one is DNA analysis. DNA analysis, it is used to identify victims, suspects, or to determine the presence of bodily fluids in case of assault or sexual violence. Toxicology. Toxicology determines the presence of substances like alcohol or drugs that can be played a role in the crime. Uh, Last one is blood stain pattern analysis, BPA. Blood stain pattern analysis helps to determine the nature of the violent event, including whether the injuries were inflicted in a struggle or the position of the victim during the attack. Okay, so these are the methods by which we can analyze the type of crime happens and know about the how the arousals uh, crime on the victim. So we have discussed it about autopsies that is conducted by forensic pathologist to find out the manner of death and the cause of death. Second one is ballistic analysis that used to analyze the type of weapons used, type of bullets used, and the and we can also get the trajectory of the bullet from where it has been started. DNA analysis is used to identify the victims, suspects, or to determine the presence of body fluids in case of assault or sexual violence. Toxicology, it determines the presence of substances like alcohol or drugs that may be played a role in the crime. Bloodstream pattern analysis, it helps to determine the nature of the violent event, including whether the injuries were inflicted in a struggle or the position of the victim during the attack. Now come to sexual abuse. Sexual abuse refers to any form of sexual behavior or contact that is forced upon an individual without their consent. It can involve physical acts, verbal pressure. It can involve physical acts, verbal pressure, manipulations, or exploitation. This kind of abuse is harmful, illegal, and can affect a person's mental, emotional, and physical health in a long lasting way. It is important for survivors to seek support from professionals, friends, and family to begin the process of healing. So in a sexual abuse, it can be any kind. It can be physical act, it can be a verbal pressure, it can be manipulation or exploitation. It is this kind of abuse is very harmful, illegal, and can affect a person mentally, emotionally, physically, and in a long lasting way it may deteriorate the patient. For to prevent it, it is very important for the survivor to seek support from the professionals, from the friends, from the family members. Now comes to forms of sexual abuse. Which forms of sexual abuse, it can be a physical assault. This includes rapes, unattempted rape, unwanted touching, or any other forms of physical sexual violence. Second one is sexual harassment, unwelcome sexual comments or behavior which can occur in many settings such as workplaces, school, and public places. Third one is exploitation. This includes situation where an individual is coerced into participating in a sexual act for money, drugs, and other forms of gain, including uh, trafficking. Child sexual abuse. This involves any form of sexual abuse of minors. Signs of sexual abuse. Here, there can be any sign. It can be a physical sign, behavioral sign, emotional symptoms, fear of discomfort, physical sign, pain or bruising in the genitals area, sexually transmitted infections, or pregnancy. Behavior changes, withdrawal from family members, sudden changes in school performance, fear of certain people or places, or acting out sexually inappropriately. Emotional symptoms can be anxiety, depression, nightmares, low self esteem, or self harming behavior. Fear or discomfort around a specific individual. Children may express fears or avoid contact with the perpetrators or anyone they suspect might be involved. Impact of sexual abuse. The impact of sexual abuse can be profound, leading to depression, anxiety, PTSD, self-esteem issues, or difficulty in forming relationship. PTSD is post traumatic stress disorder. Impact of child abuse. It can be an emotional and psychological trauma. It, it can be anxiety, depression, guilt, shame, confusion about the abuse. So it can be an emotional and psychological trauma. Right? Second one is behavioral issue in difficulty trusting others, issue with authority figures, substance abuse, or excessive sexual behavior. Third one is developmental challenges, problem with self-esteem, intimacy issues, or difficulty in forming healthy relationships. Last one is physical health issue, sexually transmitted infections, chronic pain, reproductive health problems in some cases. If child abuse is suspected or confirmed, but we do that in such a situation, we just need to listen to the child. First approach is to listen to the child. If a child discloses abuse, believe them and remain calm. Reassure them they are not to blame. Report to the abuse. Seek seek professional help. Help help needed. You may go to the hospital. Treatment, therapies, counseling can provide support for both the child and their family. A specialist in child abuse can help children process and the trauma in a safe and a supportive environment. Prevention and protection of child abuse. In prevention and protection of child abuse, we have to educate and awareness. Teach children about boundaries of body safety in schools and how to recognize inappropriate behavior from others. Encourage open communication about their experiences and feelings. Parental vigilance. It is monitoring system. Parents and caregivers should be aware of the people their children are interacting with and ensure they are feel safe. Being informed about common grooming tactics can help prevent abuse. Support system. Communities, school and organizations should have clear reporting mechanism and support system for children to safely report abuse. Legal framework. Laws and policies aimed at preventing child sexual abuse and prosecuting offenders play a crucial role in reducing harm and protecting children. Here it is very important to know about the POSCO Act that will be covered in the next lectures. Hope so you have understand about type of violences and forensic applications. Violences. So in summary, we can say that violence refers to any physical harm or injury that may inflict a person, often involving a crime. Forensic professional analyzes, interpret, and find out the evidences, and provide emotional support to the patient. Also, you have understand its types too. It can be homicide, assault, sexual violence, domestic violence, robbery. Forensic analysis in violent crimes, that is called autopsy, ballistic analysis, DNA analysis, toxicology, brain stain pattern analysis.